Welcome back to Belad Creative Studio, guys. So this time around, we want to talk about graphic design. If you are new to graphic design, we'll just briefly talk about the introduction to graphic design. So the goal for those learning design should be to understand the basics and principle well. So you need to understand the basics of graphics, and one of those basic things you need to know is the element of design. You need to know the principle of design, and you need to learn how to use a tool to design, which we are going to talk about much more later. We're going to see how to use a tool to start designing. So you use different design tools, and some of those design tools are CorelDRAW. I've stated something about CorelDRAW already. If you needed to download CorelDRAW, you know where to download CorelDRAW from. So CorelDRAW is available on www.beladcreative.com. Go to the blog section of beladcreative.com and download CorelDRAW. Aside from CorelDRAW, CorelDRAW is actually standard for print designs. It is powerful because it is widely accepted as the king of print design worldwide. So most printing house like CorelDRAW, or most of them prefer CorelDRAW, because CorelDRAW gives this vector graphics and it's always clearer when you design with CorelDRAW. It comes out where by the time you want to print it out. So we have Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is good for creating vector pictures and as well graphical elements like logos, posters, and the likes. So Adobe Illustrator is one of those design tools you could use. Photoshop, I know Photoshop is quite popular. You've heard of Photoshop everywhere. It's used for editing photos and images, but at the same time you can use it to design graphics as well. If I happen to recommend a tool for you, I will recommend CorelDRAW for you amongst the three. So we have Canva as well. Canva is a new AI tool for design. Canva makes it simpler for those that don't really understand design tools, so they can actually use Canva to design all sorts of graphics, from logos to flyers to posters. So these are design tools. So if I'm to choose something for you to use, I'll choose CorelDRAW and Canva because of the simple layout. CorelDRAW is widely recognized, and right now Canva is doing the same as well because of its AI functionalities. Canva is widely recognized. So if you are to learn any of these tools, if you want to learn any of these tools for designs, especially print designs, poster, flyers, logos, I would suggest you learn CorelDRAW and Canva. So what exactly is graphic design? So if you want to talk about graphic design, what does it mean to design graphics? So graphic design is an art and practice that uses images, text, and colors to communicate messages and ideas. So what you should know is that design runs deep in one system beyond using these elements of designs, the shape, the images, the color. What matters is how creative you are and how you are going to arrange all these elements. So what you should prioritize the most as a wannabe graphic designer is your creativity. You need to know how to think deep, you need to know how to think like a designer, which are those things you could learn as well. There are a lot of books for you to learn how to think as a designer. So we have a lot of them out there. And what you should know again as a beginner is the element of design. These four elements you are seeing right now, they make up all the design you see in the world, from your flyers to your fancy logos. We have the shape. So in most designs, you see shape in any form. Shape could be in form of a triangle, it could be in form of a circle, it could be in form of a line. So shape is very, very important when it comes to design. We have color. So every design has color. So most especially you need to know how to use color actually, because there is the psychological part of colors when it comes to design. So you need to know how to use color, and this is one of those elements that makes up a design. Then we have text. You know, you see textual elements in designs. That's the typography, how it is styled, how to combine fonts. So you need to learn how to use all these. This is a way to design. There's no design you will not see text. So text is one of those elements that makes up a design. And something that is very, very important when it comes to design is imagery, which is how to use image. So one of those elements that makes up a design are images. So we have images, we have text, we have color, we have shape, which are so important to a designer. So these are one of those things you need to know how to use. You need to know different types of shape, how to tweak shapes and all that. So you're going to learn how to do all this just to make a powerful design. And another thing you should know is we have different types of design. We have branding and identity. This has to do with branding businesses. This cause awareness to businesses. It calls for awareness, and you as a designer, you work closely with marketing team so you can bring out the visual identity of a brand. And we have UI UX design. UI UX design is a type of design, but not graphic design. So it's all about you designing products, websites, mobile apps, and all that. So we have advertising and marketing. I mentioned earlier that you as a designer, you work closely with marketers, advertisers. So this is where it comes in. So you as a designer, you can actually become a marketing designer, something like that. So you create marketing materials, you create promotional materials and all that. So we have print design. I talked about print design, which are posters, flyers. So you could just focus on print design as a designer. So this is one part of design that you need to know as well, print design. And we have motion graphics. So motion, as it sounds, is the movement of design. This is one type of design that you can actually focus on. Inside all these designs, you can actually choose a niche for yourself. You don't need to do everything. You can choose a niche for yourself and focus on that niche to become a better designer in that niche that you've chosen. So motion graphics is all about you moving graphical elements around. And we have packaging design. When you buy a biscuit, the biscuit is wrapped in a designed leather and all that. That leather that was designed is called packaging design. So packaging design goes beyond that. It's the design of products. For instance, labels on products, for instance, labels on bottles. That is packaging design for you. So these are types of design, and you can focus on a niche. You don't need to do everything. You focus on something to do out of all these types of design. And the next thing I want you to know, there are some skills that every designer needs. So you need to learn some of this skill, and some of it are inbuilt. Some of it comes as you keep learning, as you keep practicing. So one of those skills is creativity. Create something new. You don't need to copy other designers. You can draw inspirations from other designers, and you can actually use those inspirations to create something new. And one of those things you need to learn is communication, because this matters a lot when you're talking to a client. You need to learn how to understand the client, how to communicate your ideas, how to understand the client and communicate back their ideas to them. So communication is very, very important. Time management is very, very important. If you get so busy, if you get so good, you get so busy. So you need to know how to manage your time, what project to take, when to take them, when to deliver, when not to deliver. So these are all time management. Another part of the skills you need to know or to learn is typography. Typography is very, very interesting. It's all about text, but it's not just about text. It's all about how you combine your text. So we have different font type, how you combine these font types, how you style them. Is all about typography. That's the art of typography. So it's a skill you can learn as well. And we have the color theory, how to use color, the color psychology. So it's one of those skills you need to learn as well. And the last thing which is very, very important as creativity is the software you want to use. You need to choose a software. If you want to choose CorelDRAW, choose CorelDRAW, and you can learn more than one. If you want to choose Canva, choose Canva. If you want to choose Adobe Illustrator, choose Adobe Illustrator. If you want to choose Photoshop, choose Photoshop. So these are things you need to learn as a designer, most especially as a beginner. Just take note of this. Your creativity matters, your communication matters, time management matters, your typography matters, your color theory matters, your software mastery matters. And one of those things you need to know again is your influence as a designer. You become so influential when you get good at what you do. You start designing, you get to build global brands, you get to brand them, like create their logos, create their promotional materials, create their marketing designs. So branding for global brand. So your influence too can grow into politics. Politicians need designers every time they design flyers for their campaigns and all those things. Like these are things that you could do as a designer once you learn how to design. This is how deep your influence can go. So you could actually create visual identity for startups and businesses. In the world where AI is now the major thing, we have a lot of startups So you could become a designer for a startup or for a small business. So that is how deep your influence can go. So design is good. If you want to learn design, is a very good way to start your journey in tech. What you can become after you've learned how to design. There are a lot of entry level jobs when it comes to designer. So you being a designer does not hinder you from working anywhere you want to work. You could work as a freelancer, you could work remotely. We have a lot of freelancing platform. We have Upwork, we have Fiverr, we have 99 Designs. So you could become a freelancer, you could become an in-house designer for a brand or for a startup. You could become an art director for a fashion brand or for a music brand. You could become a lot of things. You could become a UI UX specialist. So you could go for that to learn about UI UX, which is product design. So you could become a specialist at the very end. So this is just few of what you could become. There are a lot of them, and that is all for today about design. I've introduced you to design, what it takes to be a designer, what you need to do, what you need to learn. So these are things we've gone through. I hope to see you on the next one. But if you're not subscribed to our channel just yet, do remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment.